these things left unsaid, they'll keep running through my head.
Just sick and tired. I mean, I'm disgusted with myself for what I was doing, and you know, I would like to seek help, but like I said before, I'm too afraid. You know, I'm afraid of what I'm afraid of what people might think if they found out.
Self-harm really is a behaviour manifestation of some underlying trauma, and how that will sort of show itself will be individuals will either come to us because they're psychologically or emotionally distressed. And I suppose it's important to say that when people do access our services when they are distressed, I think it's clear to say that we're not talking about mental illness.
Well, I talked to a young individual recently who did self-harm, and as I say, I asked him, you know, about his anger, and his problem was anger. And one of the things he said to me was basically, I have that much of an anger problem that if I lose my head or whatever, what happens then is somebody can be really, really hurt. And he's afraid of his own anger. And because he's maybe not wanting to get anybody else involved, you know, about the way that he is, he decides, well, look, I'll maybe feel better if I do this, do you know? But in actual fact, what he's doing is taking a very big risk. Do you know what I mean? And that thing that actually he done on himself or whatever is only an expression of a deep sense of fear and frustration and helplessness.
It's when someone would use an implement or something or to harm themselves, whether it be using razor blades to slit their wrists, or they have ideas of harming themselves, like suicidal thoughts, or when someone would have a low self-esteem.
Self-harm has been an increase with young people. I think self-harm is really young people trying to cope where they hurt themselves. They can't actually scream out loud, so they physically hurt themselves.
There are cases locally of people of all ages who self-harm for many, many reasons. And again, it's an issue which is just, you know, it's been kept down there. It should be allowed to, you know, come out in the open. People shouldn't be afraid about it. People shouldn't be stigmatised about this. Families shouldn't be stigmatised.
I wouldn't go near any of the helpless. I'm too afraid, too scared. I wouldn't talk to my parents because they just, I mean, they're always arguing me now as it is. I've told them that's on the cat, you know, they just freak out, go nuts. And you couldn't really tell any of my friends. Just think you're some kind of weirdo.
There's a long range of issues there that different people, you know, would self-harm. And again, like for me, those people should be allowed to, you know, come forward. They should be allowed to make it clear to other people what's happening to try and prevent that. But as I said, you know, it's another issue that has to be dealt with and should be more open. It should be, as I say, it should be groups like us who would identify things like that, try and act straight away and try and advise and get those people directed off to somebody.
Self-harm's nothing new. Self-harm has been in our midst from early Christian times, and it most certainly is a means of communication. And our body has always been used as a means of communication, especially when we can't articulate it. So for me, and my understanding, self-harm is when an individual is speaking to me and telling me how hurt they are or how sad they are. They may use their body to demonstrate that. So not attention seeking, but most certainly a way of communicating how they're feeling.
People self-harm for a lot of reasons. A lot of people think it's a way of getting attention, but it's not. It's a wrong way of people approaching it. It's usually there's usually an unresolved conflict within the person themselves, usually from way in the past, whether it be from sexual abuse or some form of abuse, or an unresolved conflict where they've grown up and they've found a way of, a maladaptive way of coping, a way which inflicts pain themselves but isn't proper.
It's not a form of attention seeking, it's just young people trying to cope with life for whatever reasons. Maybe it's to do with bullying, divorce, separation, something happening in their family. It's just a cry for help.
My parents are always screaming and arguing with each other, and then if I go down, you know, they start screaming at me. You know, if I try to go down and resolve things between them, they start screaming at me, and then they sort of gang up and pick on me.
I think the most important thing for young people is to be able to talk to other young people about their experiences. You know, there's no point in me sitting down with a young person and telling them it's like this, because it's different from even when I was growing up. And we have like things for they can interact, like pool, PlayStation and internet, so they can use the nucleus as a space to do that in a safe way. And also we're available if they do need to chat to us on a one-to-one, but we don't offer counselling or anything, we just would offer a listening ear. And if we felt the young person, we would refer the young person on to other organisations, which would be like Zest, Childline, things like that, if they needed more help.
You normally find that they're reluctant to go and seek help. There is help there, but they're teenagers, they don't want to be seen, they have a problem, and they feel like basically, best way to describe it, they feel like a freak.
My mum would probably kill me or kick me out. Like I said, she's not very, you know, she doesn't really understand me or any of the family. She doesn't understand anything else that goes on. It's just between her and my dad all the time.
Statistics out there say that individuals who self-harm are 100 times more likely to complete suicide in a year after an incident of self-harm. And that's probably one of the reasons we changed our focus from combat suicide to Zest, passion for life, and our focus was on self-harm. If we do know that self-harm is a predictor, not a cause, but most certainly a strong predictor, and an individual going on to complete suicide, then we felt we needed to put our focus primarily in the self-harm. Because what we're saying is, people will say, oh, they just self-harm, they're attention seeking or they're wasted time. And what we're saying as a young man that says this, well, people haven't wasted much time in helping me. So what we're saying is, if self-harm is my means of communicating to you how I'm feeling, then we most certainly need to be looking at that. So it's the first point that I believe we should be looking at to prevent suicide. So therefore, self-harm is an issue, and most certainly we need the resources to support young people and adults, because it's not a young person's phenomena. The youngest person we've worked with in Zest was 8, and amazingly the eldest we worked with was 80. And it doesn't know any class boundaries, it doesn't know any gender boundaries, nor it doesn't know any age boundaries. Self-harm is a behaviour that people use as a means of communicating how they're feeling, and I think we need to take that quite seriously.
I do cut myself in my arms, my legs, my body, but like I would hide it. I would wear long sleeve tops and baggy clothes, so you know nobody would say anything. It's nothing to do with anything else. It's got to do with just me and nobody else, and I can control it myself.
They'll keep running through my head, and so I'll write them down and I'll sing them out. It helped to spin my world the right